Uh-oh, we have a bigger jump here. But guess what? The technique's no different. What is happening now? I believe that this is the key to learn how to jump safely and in control. It doesn't matter how strong you are, it doesn't matter how old you are, because the technique is the same regardless of what your age is. This technique's easy to learn, it's easy to start small, it's repeatable, and it takes a lot of the fear and risk out of jumping. So a lot of this content I have shared throughout my 1.5 years on YouTube in various videos. I thought it would be a great idea to encapsulate all of that into a quick, compressed video. I guarantee, I promise you, that it'll provide more control, more certainty in your jumping journey. Let's go find a jump. So here we have a small tabletop, and for my work today, this is a good one because I can see the trail ahead of me and I can be prepared should any riders come through here. I won't be an obstacle or get in their way for selfish reasons of my own. So let's get to work. This is a great tabletop to learn on. On your journey to find helpful videos, you might find a video that tells you that you have to squish your suspension to jump, and that should be a concern in your mind. In my opinion, that is false information, that's inaccurate. For instance, what you want to do is you want to ride into it with strong legs. So you don't want this transition as you hit it to push back on you and cause you to sink into your bike. The result of riding into it with strong legs and not sinking into your bike will squash the suspension. Our suspension is not a pogo stick. We don't rely on the rebound to catch air. That's all wrong, that's all bullshit. So the first thing you need to know is you need to approach transitions with strong legs, and you need to stay centralized over your bike. Now, when I ride into this with strong legs, I want to make sure that my knees are over my toes, my heels are down, and my chin is over my stem. What that's going to do is it's going to put my body mass centralized on my bike. I'm not going to overweight the rear of the bike. I'm not going to overweight the front of the bike. That's important. What you don't want to do is when you come into this transition to push back, to slide back. When you slide back, that overweights the rear end, and that 9 times out of 10 will buck you. If you don't believe me, I did an experiment a few months ago. I posted a video on how not to get bucked, so go check that out. So as you ride into the jump, you need to make sure that you retain your chin over your stem and your knees over your toes the whole way through the transition. Be prepared, because you're going to feel some forces that want to pull you into your bike, want to pull your mass into your bike. That is because your body mass wants to go flat on a straight plane, and this ramp, this transition is in its way, so it wants to redirect you upward. You need to have strong legs so you stay balanced when you're redirected upward. All of that control is very important for the next bit. The next bit is our body mass needs to control the arc. We are not letting the transition control our arc. We're not letting our speed control our arc. We are not letting a butterfly flapping its wings in China control our arc. To do that, we must be active and extend into our arc and not absorb or soak up the transition. I see a very common mistake, and that is people don't know how to differentiate the ability to ride through a jump and not wreck versus actually jumping. The difference is if you ride through a jump without crashing, you've gained very little skill because you're relying on speed. And what's going to happen is when you are in a scenario where you can't rely on speed, or the transition is different, or the gap is bigger than speed will allow, you don't have the skills that you need to clear it. So you need to go back to square one and learn how to control your arc with your legs and not control the jump with speed. Now here's the beautiful thing. When we control the arc with our legs and our body mass and our shoulders, it's kind of like the spiral on a football or the rotation on a baseball. It gives our body mass control in the air. It gives our mind something to plan for. It gives our flight plan an accurate, controlled destination. If we just ride off and we don't do anything with our body mass, we are very much susceptible to wind. We're susceptible to any inaccuracies on the transition. I don't know about you, but I would never get in a car that I did not trust the driver. I would never get into an autonomous car that was never tested. I want to have control of my flight plan. If there's risk involved, I want to control it. In this method, you will have 100% control of it. So as we ride into the transition with strong legs, and we understand that we need to stay centralized and balanced on our bike, and we know that we don't want to absorb the transition with our legs, we want to extend upward and forward, okay? And what that's going to do is it's going to drive our body mass into that arc. It's going to start that spiral on the football to give our body mass control. Now, when we do it, we don't want to do it here, and we don't want to do it here. Our extension comes off of the transition and into the arc. It doesn't happen coming up it. Now, yes, depending on the length of the transition, we will start to extend going up it so that we can time it so the last 10 or 15% of our extension is in the air, controlling our arc. If we are not extending or we are not doing anything the moment we leave the transition, what we are doing is we are risking a dead sailor. Again, we're going back and we're allowing the transition to control our jump. Now, with this ability to extend off the lip and extend into the air and control our arc, we can control the amount of input we put into the transition, which can help us gain distance should we need it. The problem is if you ride a transition and you don't control your arc, whether you clear it is up to luck. It's up to everything you did up on the trail. It's up to everything that the trail provided to you before you got to the transition. When you can control your arc and control it with your legs and extension into the arc, you can add more input if you feel as though you're not going to clear it, and you will gain multiple feet in distance. Or you can do the opposite. You can put less input into the extension if you're going too fast and you feel like you may overshoot it. The beauty with it is if you learn this process this way, you have those skills. If you learn these skills from the beginning, it's much easier to then dial it back than it is if you only learned how to jump based on speed and you don't have those skills. So now as we extend into our arc, we want to row the bike slightly into us. And you'll find that when you extend and really drive up and forward with your shoulders, the rowing process of the bike is rather natural. But what that rowing process is again, it's our defining of the arc. It's the spiral on our football. And what that does is it just gives our body something to do in the air to give it control, to give it stability. If you have nothing to do in the air and you stall out in the air, you risk a dead sailor. Additionally, when your body mass is actively doing something in the air, this is important. If you are slightly off balance coming off the transition, we as humans, we can regain that balance if our body is actively doing something. If we ride off and we're rigid and we're stiff and we don't do anything in the air and we go off unbalanced, the dead sailor happens because we don't have the ability to regain that balance because our motion is stopped. When you are in flight, it's very hard to redirect your momentum. Okay? When you're redirecting your momentum from the ground into flight, you can redirect it very easily. Now, as you extend and you row into the air, the landing will come natural to you because you will be well balanced over your bike. But what you don't want to do is push the bike in front of you and extend forward. Again, that's not a position you want to land in. When we land a jump, we want to land in complete control so that we can handle whatever comes after that. When we boost that bike forward, we're landing rear wheel heavy, our front wheel is super light. If we knuckle, we're gonna get bounced over the front of the bars. If you land on the knuckle, which is the sharp bit where the transition happens on the backside of a jump, your best place to be is centralized on the bike to absorb it. And then after that absorption, your body then can have a better opportunity to finding what it needs to do fore and aft, forward and backward to find balance and to regain control. So for the ultimate beginners, let's look at how we can initiate this concept safely and really reduce the possibility of, severe injury. So to do that, we are going to start slow. You learn faster by starting and working slower. So first things first, I'm going to really focus on my body positioning as I ride into this transition, really slow. What I did was I just stage centralized and I stood up a little bit with the transition. It felt safe, it felt in control. I didn't feel like I was going to crash. And that is the perfect first step for learning how to jump in control. We're gonna come in slow, focus on our foundational technique, and we're just gonna plop on top. Plop on top. Be very analytical, film yourselves. Did you hold that body position? If you didn't, don't change a single thing except making that body position right. Don't change speed, don't change anything. Here's our jump right up here. Now, if you find you're having trouble staying forward, staying centralized over your bike, your knees over your toes and your chin over your stem coming off of a transition. If you're finding you're having trouble retaining that position, I want you to think about this. This is something I shared a little year ago or so, and a lot of people found it very helpful. Where our transition ends, let's just envision there's glass. There's just a pane of glass that extends straight up in the sky. What we want to do is we want to think about breaking through that glass with our forehead, with our head, and with our shoulders. If you think about breaking the glass, you're going to be really strong with your upper body, and that's perfect position that you want to be in to lead into your arc, which you control with your body mass. Why is controlling the arc with our body mass important? Well, our body mass weighs substantially more than our bike, and we control our muscles and our movements. The bike doesn't, we do. So what we want to do now is we want to increase our speed a little bit, get more comfortable with the balance. It's all about repetition. There's no rush right here. When we build these skills with a strong foundation, it's going to make life much easier down the road. If you're building a house and your foundation is weak and you put a beautiful roof on it and the shit starts to wobble, then you're back to square one. We're building a strong foundation here. When we build that beautiful roof, nothing's gonna wobble, right? Let's do this.
In the arms of a lover, in the arms of your son, you lay your breath heavy on not anyone. Won't you stay for a while, won't you rest yourself? You know it ain't such a shame to have lost yourself. You know it ain't such a shame to have lost yourself.
Don't go faster until you found consistency and control at the speed that you're at.
Breathe in a bottle of cheap red wine, all my sacred sins and all your dirty lies. And I ride, and I ride, and I ride, and I ride. Keep riding even when I don't know why. I keep riding even when
So
I
as you
don't
start
know
clearing these small
why.
jumps, stay there. Continue clearing it. Focus on consistency. Focus on comfort. Build a history of success on these small jumps. But as you move up to bigger jumps, know that the process is the same. As you work up your speed, as you inch forward, be very, very certain that your technique is still good. There you go, we cleared it. Now that doesn't mean you're a jumper yet. You cleared it with proper positioning. That means you're transitioning to the next phase, which is gaining consistency and control. So keep doing that until you feel consistent, in control. Really, your fear of uncertainty is out the window because you are so consistent and in control. When you are consistent and in control, then you can move on to bigger jumps. But before you do that, here's what I would suggest. So I do these videos like it's just you and me here talking, okay? It's just you and I, we're the only ones on the trail, the only ones at this jump. I don't package these videos like glossy brochures with tons of editing and tons of fancy transitions because that's added time behind the computer editing. What I do is I reinvest that time out on the trail, out on my bike, learning things myself, as well as testing all this information that I provide. I want to make sure that it's true and accurate and there are not better ways to describe it. So instead of sitting behind the computer editing, I'm out here riding, experimenting, and exploring. If you like what I do, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe. I always appreciate it very much. So our next goal is to really be specific about our speed and try to slow it down just a little bit and see if we can continue to build our technique and clear it with technique and really see how slow we can go and still clear it. What we are doing is, so we've learned how to do a push-up. Repetition and consistency and control has taught us how to do 10 push-ups in a row. Now what we want to do is we want to bench press. With this bench press, this go as slow as you can and use our technique with as much strength as possible to clear it. That will prepare us for all sorts of jumps down the road and really give us all the skills and the tools that we need for big scary gap jumps. So we're going to see how slow we can go and still clear it. And we cleared it easy. Way under trail speed with nothing but technique. Let's go a little slower. See if we can go slower and still clear it. Building strength in that technique. And we cleared it. It's a fun little exercise that you can do on small jumps anywhere. Even bump jumps on the trail, see how slow you can go and clear a little gap to really gain power in your technique. This is the point where I would suggest moving to bigger jumps. Check out this jump. So this is kind of like a scooped out tabletop is what I call it. But if you come up short, there's a knuckle there. So it's not going to be super comfortable to case. So I know this jump looks different to you, but I think you got it. It looks different, but your techniques are the same, okay? And because you built strength in that technique, if you're going a little slower than you think you need to be, you can push, be a little bit more aggressive into your extension. Follow trail speed. Follow me. Let's go. Here we go. Nice easy trail speed. Little racer jump. Easy. Good job. Things look scary when they're unfamiliar. The more time you spend in an unfamiliar place, the less scary it becomes. Now, because I watched you and you have control of your arc and you have control of your takeoff and you're using your body mass, you looked absolutely smooth doing that, which was super rad because we want to be smooth on the trail. We want to be steezy. We want to be flowy. When you control your arc, it makes whips easier. It makes tabletops easier. It makes all the air tricks easier. All right, 2 to make it true. You got this. Let that confidence flow with you. Nothing's changed since the last time you did this. Every techniques are the same. Easy breezy. Good job. Uh-oh, we have a bigger jump here. But guess what? The technique's no different. What changes is our duration of time on the transition. But everything else is going to be the same. So what we're going to change up is the timing of our extension off of the transition. And to dial that in, just work up slow. Perfect jump to plop on top of. Come in, plop on top. Add a little more speed, refine our tools, build confidence and consistency, plop on top a little bit further, and before you know, you're gonna clear it with ease. Let's do that.
Oh, said if my heart were a turntable, in my belly was a speaker and my soul a needle. Oh, said if my heart were a turntable, in my belly was a speaker and my soul a needle.
Okay, now you're going to clear it. So you worked up to this incrementally. You've got this. The next step is not going to be any different than the previous several steps that you've just experienced as you've gained familiarity with the transition. All that will change will be just a little bit more speed and a little bit more input in your extension. So you have all the skills to make that incremental change, that itty bitty bit of additional effort. You got it, let's roll. Don't think this is going to be a new experience. It's going to be the same experience, just a little bit faster.
I know winter's now when everything is new. I know winter's now when everything is new.
Good job. Easy breezy.